Welcome to another year full of dolls and creative adventures. I have been meaning to produce another video, but every time I sat down to do that, I felt like it just wasn't interesting enough. So I decided instead to rewind 2020 and write a very long post about my entire doll making journey. If you want to read that post, if reading about the misadventures of how I started making dolls and how later on I turned it into a thriving business, you can head to my vlog and check it out. But today, I want not just to welcome you to my little channel, I also want to let you know what I have planned for 2021 and how I schedule and organize an entire year full of dolls. I guess if you're just starting to make dolls, you might still have very shaky legs and not really know how many dolls you can make in a month or how to best start organizing your creativity through doll making. The way I do it, and I have been doing this for a few years now, is at the beginning of the year, I write down how many dolls I would love to make. I like to take my time with the dolls, so I schedule only very few per year. This also stems from the fact that most of my dolls are quite complex, so therefore they take me longer. If you're interested in learning a particular technique, such as needle felting or adding weight to your dolls, exploring more doll design, or if like me you would like to try your hand at knitting more intricate doll clothing, you can also schedule for yourself the month or the doll that you will try those techniques on. Try to think of the schedule as a rough plan, a lay of the creative land. I believe that voicing your wishes, your dreams, or your ideas and writing them down gives you a little bit more strength and courage to tackle them. So for me, once I know how many dolls I want to make, I then continue and organize my sketchbook with some of the dolls I've already dreamt about. And I say, so-and-so in January, February, and so-and-so in March, April. This helps me because since I already sort of know which personalities are which, I can also envision the season they would most likely love to be born in. If I dreamt a very beautiful fairy dressed in gossamer silk with diaphanous wings and wool roses, it probably won't be very conducive to my creative juices to start making her in January. I am incredibly inspired and nurtured by the nature around me, so I like to organize my dolls, matching their personalities to the season that will be most conducive to their birth. But if you're not like me and you don't dream your dolls first, you can organize them by season anyways, as it will be most fun to photograph your dolls this way. You could say, I want to make 2 dolls per season, or knowing you will have less time to work on your craft in the summer, you concentrate more creative projects for the fall and winter. The key here is to have some sort of plan so you can motivate yourself to work on your dolls. It is also incredibly time-consuming to organize fabrics, yarns, and notions for the dolls. So for me, having a plan in place helps me with that. If I know this summer I would love to make a doll inspired by our lake, for example, I can start looking for suitable fabrics and yarns much earlier than that and have everything in place for the doll to choose when the time comes. Not every item in the inspiration package will be chosen by the doll in question. They usually gravitate towards certain things and discard some others. But for me, having the little bundle of fabrics and yarns that I anticipate the doll will love to wear is incredibly inspiring. It keeps me moving forward and looking towards the time I will spend using those items to create and craft for my doll. Sometimes I sketch the doll many moons before I actually start working on her. Sometimes I think one of the dolls will be born in the early spring and she doesn't see daylight until midsummer. But that is okay. Nobody's holding a knife to my throat to follow my plans step by step. This is a guideline for myself and it serves a twofold purpose. It helps me organize and put some roots in reality to all the doll dreams and visions I'm constantly having, but it also helps me focus and concentrate on 1 doll or 2 dolls at a time, instead of wanting or wishing to make all the dolls all the time. Another thing I schedule sort of backwards is the making of little seasonal dolls. I like to make my wee babies in certain seasons or celebrations. So for example, I only make lambs and bunnies for Easter, foxes and bears in the fall, and deers and reindeers for Christmas, something like that. Knowing Easter is X day this year, knowing how long it takes me to create those little dolls, I can write in my schedule X number of weeks before their due date to start working on them. I don't even have to think about them until that little notice pops up in my schedule. Also, since I work only with repurposed fabrics for their bodies and I know I'll be making bears, for example, I can start looking for deep brown sweaters all year until I have just the one I have been dreaming to use. If I don't find that sweater, then there will be no bears, and it's completely fine by me. Vice versa, if I find the most amazing white one, then I know some lambs will be made the following year. Luckily this year, I have everything I need for all these precious wee babies I want to make, but that is only because I very studiously look for the right shades and fibers during 2020. If you don't use repurposed fabrics, then it becomes much easier. You just need to buy the fabric you need with plenty of time for shipping delays, especially in times of plague. Same goes with hair, yarns to knit with, and doll accessories. If you can, especially at this time, try to support local sellers and small businesses. A long time ago, I was just buying things that inspired me and stashing them away to inspire a doll after. But it became apparent quite soon to me that this method of work does not serve me well. First, I buy either too much or not enough of what I end up needing. So now I only buy things when they have a purpose and they're meant for a specific doll. If the fabrics are basics I use a lot, then I buy it in larger amounts. Obviously, this does not apply if I'm visiting a thrift store, as there I will be defined to whatever treasures I discover. But I still keep this mentality in mind, looking only for natural fibers, no excessive trims, and things must still have some sort of purpose in mind. So that's how I organize my doll schedule and how I go about month by month, adding and subtracting, planning a little bit ahead, and getting excited for whoever's coming next. This year, for example, I already know there will be many wee babies being born from these hands. I have also scheduled all my custom dolls with plenty of time to be born, but 3 months each, and I have a few dolls already sketched in my doll journal. I am leaving the spring entirely open to see whatever dolls will come up to me, knowing that I want some truly special dolls to be made this fall and early winter. Do you find all this interesting? I have received quite a few messages asking me how I organize my schedule, how the dolls happen, and while I try to answer on a case-by-case basis, I thought it would be fun to make a video to talk a little bit more about it. Do let me know if this kind of informative video is up your alley. I'm still very new at creating content for this channel, so I'm not entirely sure what the best videos will be. I will publish some tutorials, of course, as I'm very versed in doing that, since I've been making tutorial videos for Patreon for 3 years now. But I also want to explore other sorts of videos, and your suggestions will be much appreciated. Thank you for watching, and I hope to have more regular videos here now that I have started again. See you soon.